Oh my god.
Like everything is just oozing and hurting so bad. It was a really, really rough week. Like I can't keep going through this and just like having the people around me suffer.
He's leaving me. Heal me, sun and water. We will have vlogs come back soon. That's all I've got to say. Bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Jada Jones, and if you guys are new to my channel, first of all, welcome. Bear with me as I get into this video because it's been a really long time since I've sat here solo and recorded a YouTube video for my community here. I know the past few months on here have been a little bit confusing, so let's just give the whole rundown of just everything. I'm currently going through an iatrogenic condition called TSW. It stands for Topical Steroid Withdrawal. It stems from the use of topical steroids that were prescribed by my dermatologist and how those medications, after prolonged use of time, causes really crazy symptoms to occur, both physically and mentally. People think that it simply just affects the skin, but it affects so much more than that. I can't even go into all the science of that, and that's really not the purpose of this video, because I want this video to just focus on the healing that has happened. Clearly, if you're looking at me right now, I look way different than how you may have previously seen me if you've come across my videos this year on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or now Instagram as I start to share on there. It's been really confusing because I've really mostly kept up present time with videos and content creation on TikTok this year because YouTube was just one of those things that I wish I could have kept up with. Healing has been my #1 priority this entire past few years, so for these sporadic videos that are coming on my channel, it's really when I have mustered up the energy to be able to come back and to be able to sit here presently, being able to move my hands, move my mouth, and tell you guys just how grateful I am to be able to be here after the craziest few years of my life. I just owe it truly all to you guys. So let's take it right back. In December of 2022, Chris and I decided to move back from LA to Charlotte, North Carolina to fully focus on my healing. We had intentions to move back to LA all of 2023, but my body was just not done healing from TSW yet, and I kept trying to force something that was just not going to happen, and it was really depressing seeing how my mind was just wanting to be in such a different place than my physical body was. And even as far as I thought that I healed back in 2023, I was not even at the point where I am at now, which is still currently healing. Like, I am not done healing from TSW. I'm just at a point now where I can somewhat live a somewhat normal life and somewhat, like, heavy on the somewhat. I barely go out of this house because I'm still so, like, anxiety induced about getting things on my skin, or just, it's everything. Okay, we're straight to the point. So all of 2023 was just really just a cycle, and it was a really depressing year. Chris's father was also battling cancer. He is now successfully healed from cancer. That was such a blessing in 2023. Starting off that year with his father going through cancer and with me still going through intense TSW, it was just the recipe for not a great start to the year, and that energy kind of kept through all of 2023. In December, I just wanted something to change, and I knew that if I was not doing everything in my power to be able to change my condition or change the state that I was in, that I don't think that I was really exploring all of my options. Basically, in December, I made the spontaneous decision. It was literally 2.5 weeks, I think, before the actual flight. I ended up booking 2 one-way tickets for us to leave on December 31st. So we were starting New Year's Eve in Mexico with the intentions to be able to heal my body as much as I possibly could with saltwater. As soon as we landed in Mexico, I just remember feeling this internal shift of like, things can actually get better for me if I just change my mindset. Now that I've dragged and dropped myself into a different environment, hopefully this can be the catalyst to change that I didn't even think was possible. I ended up posting one vlog that week of Mexico because, again, I just had so much energy ramped up inside of me, and I was so determined to be able to express myself creatively. I was like, I'm gonna do TikToks, I'm gonna do YouTube, I'm gonna do the podcast. Like, we were so determined to do everything, and I think Chris was also just like placed into this fueling motivation of like, we can do this, we can heal. It was just the fresh energy that we really needed. That vlog was from the first like 5 or 6 days, I think, of us being in Mexico. And then after that, I just remember just not being able to keep up because it was really, really difficult. I mean, I had just open wounds everywhere on my body, and I think my mental was also so shot. Like, it was just, there was just so much going on that I was trying to pick up, and every day that I was there, I was really just determined to survive. Sleeping was so tough because it was my first time not sleeping with my fan that I didn't bring from Charlotte too. I had this fan on, guys, I kid you not, for like 1.5 years of my life straight. I never left the side of that fan. It was on constantly when I was in LA. It was on constantly every time I was sitting down in Charlotte because of the sensory like relief that it gave me to be able to just have something blowing on my face to like get rid of the stench, get rid of just the physical sensations and like the tickling sensations of just everything. It's honestly really, really traumatic to even think about, and that's also why this video has taken so long. I felt like I just didn't have the right words. I still feel like I don't have the right words to kind of explain everything because I'm still on my healing journey and there's still so much that needs to be processed. While I was in Mexico, I made the decision to stop doing YouTube and podcasting and everything and just solely focus on TikTok. I think there's just this huge pressure on my chest to be able to return to YouTube, to be able to tell this grand story, because as a creative, you're like always constantly, you know, you're trying to find the hero's arc. You're trying to tell this story that makes cohesive sense. And I think for me right now, it still doesn't really make sense. I still don't really know what's happened to me in these past few years. And also there was just so much pressure because I'm literally returning to 40,000 subscribers on this channel. For some context, I started YouTube back in 2015 and I was in 8th grade and I created a whole channel and I showed my life as an actor and going to a performing arts high school. That channel was my entire life, and I grew that channel to about 22,000 subscribers, and up until the beginning of this year, that was the most I'd ever grown any platform ever. I had problems with that channel because YouTube was wrongfully giving me warnings and threatening to take my channel down. So for that, I got really, really nervous because I wanted that channel to live on. So I just started a whole new channel. I think I had like 3 or 4K subscribers on here, and it was my world. I loved it so much, and all the people who really were ride or die for me on my last channel came over to this channel. So yeah, coming back and returning to 40,000 subscribers that I feel like I really haven't even introduced myself to yet has been really weird. While I was in Mexico, like I said, I focused on my TikTok Mexico healing journeys to tell my story as organically and as raw as possible while sharing the real ins and outs of what it was like to go through a chronic condition while living in Mexico and going into saltwater and healing my skin. I didn't realize that that would change my life. I really did just start sharing out of this desire to be heard, and I am so grateful that I've been heard and listened to. I feel like so many of us going through TSW suffer in silence, and I really, really just wanted to be that voice for this community, and I hope that I can continue to be that voice as I continue to heal. But I think, again, because this is still such a fresh wound on my heart, I've just been taking my time to come back in a way that feels right to me. Right now, this video just kind of catching you guys up is that. So again, bear with me, this is all over the place, oh my god. So I started sharing on TikTok this year and I basically blew up overnight. I remember just refreshing, and every time I refreshed, there was 1,000 new followers on TikTok, and it was the craziest, most surreal thing to experience. Guys, my TikTok has been popping off ever since I started sharing about TSW, and I just started sharing about it openly on TikTok, not knowing where it would really go, but I just feel like I have this duty deep down to share about TSW, and I feel like I have been, but I think with coming to Mexico, I really, really wanted to like dive in and really share my journey, and I'm getting to focus on content creation, which has been so nice. And I literally just hit like 22K on TikTok, which is wild. So I've been like daily vlogging every day on there, but I need to get to the long form vlog on YouTube because I definitely want to share more long form on YouTube, but it's just so hard. It's hard when you're going through TSW. Everything revolves around the TSW, you know? So the reason why there weren't any more vlogs after that first Mexico vlog was because as I started healing in Mexico, I ended up contracting a severe infection that I didn't know was an infection at the time, but now that I'm in Thailand and have the education and know kind of what's happening, that was definitely an infection and I should have definitely taken antibiotics. That's why education is so important when it comes to conditions that aren't medically recognized, because people are are out here suffering, not knowing what to do, but because we have to self-assess and self-doctor ourselves, we're kind of left to make decisions for ourselves based off of what we know and feel.
It's the way I've been such a bad vlogger. I don't think I've vlogged in like a week or more. I don't know. But all I do know is that my skin is starting to look and feel better, which is absolutely wonderful. It feels unreal, honestly, but I think an extra month here is going to do me so good. I don't know if you guys know, but I obviously decided to extend my stay here in Mexico. So for right now, we're gonna be here for an additional month and some change. I'm so grateful because I was able to raise money through my GoFundMe, and then the company Topicals, which is a wonderful skincare company. They are just revolutionizing the skincare industry. They commented on my TikTok saying that they wanted to help support my trip, which I still can't believe. It's just so surreal. I could be extending my trip possibly longer, but right now we're not really sure. Right now I'm in the middle of my period, so my hands have been taking a toll. They've just been really, really bad. So I'm just trying to take it easy though and just mentally relax, because even when the skin is like flaring, that means that the skin is still healing and that we're on track for healing. I just keep trying to tell myself that with each flare comes healing, and that there's always healing going on underneath the skin. So yeah, so even though this hurts and it doesn't look too great, I just acknowledge that yes, I'm on my period, so it's gonna be a little bit painful.
Hola.
It's so good. It's the huevos divorchados. Everything here is good. I love this place.
Yeah.
Your mom knows before mom knows.
Wow, that's so cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Because I've been scorned by Western medicine, I was so scared to take anything. I hadn't taken any antibiotics my entire TSW healing journey. I hadn't taken a singular medication my entire TSW healing journey. So in Mexico, when I contracted this infection that I didn't even know was an infection, I just ended up writing it out. It literally could have been deadly, but I don't know, through the grace of the universe and God, I ended up moving forward and ended up healing because I forced myself into saltwater. When I ended up contracting that severe infection, I was truly at the lowest part of my TSW journey, I think I can say, because at this point I was far away from my family. It was just me and Chris, and I felt like I didn't know what to do. I think I remember just like talking on TikTok and just being like, I think I'm going to have to consider medication because I don't know what else to do.
Our Mexico trip, I think, is coming to an end. I'm so sad about it. The goal of Mexico wasn't to like heal completely. It was really to just like get away for the really harsh winter season. The reason why I didn't vlog for a whole month was because this condition really flared up so terribly during the month of February, and it scared the living bejesus out of me. I was bedridden for a month and I thought it was the end, guys. Like, I was so down mentally that like I didn't see a way like through this. Don't even remember half of it. It's already like trauma and like just PTSD in my brain, honestly, so I don't really remember it at all. Now I'm at a point where I started going to the ocean. I just started forcing myself to go to the ocean because around our like 16 days left point, I was like, you know what? I need to make the most out of Mexico. Fuck it. It's going to hurt so bad, but just go to the ocean. And I've just proved my strength over and over and over and over again. And I've done it throughout this entire TSW journey for almost 2 years now. And mama is fucking tired. Like, I am so tired. Towards the beginning of TSW, I was like, oh my gosh, like, why doesn't everyone take the natural route? Like, steroids, like, obviously is what got us here in the first place. Like, why would you even consider medication? Like, just heal naturally and do the work. And while I'm still a firm believer of like the natural holistic way, sometimes you need assistance from medication when this condition is just too much. It's too much suffering. It's too much daily, like, it's just so much. And I'm just tired. Like, to be quite frank, like, I'm just so tired. So I'm going home we're thinking about extending another month, and that's why this past week was just a little iffy, because it was like my birthday and I'm celebrating, but then we were like, are we leaving, are we not leaving? And I really just had to sit down and ask myself, like, what's the right decision? And I still don't know if I'm making the quote-unquote right decision. I think my body is just telling me, like, I need a helping hand, you know? And I want to be a helping hand to my body, because right now I can't be anything to myself or to anybody in this state. I don't even feel like an adult anymore, you know? Like, I want my life back, and if that requires me to have to be on medication to be strong enough so that I can return back to do the things that I love again, I'm willing to do that. And I thought that that made me less of a warrior and less of a, I don't know. I feel like I chose the natural route, obviously, because I want to heal naturally, but deep down I think I also wanted to prove that, like, I was strong enough to do this, and that does not take away from my strength, and I just need to remember that. Like, considering medication does not take away from my strength. It's just everyone hits their low points, and I've just reached mine. Like, it's just I'm tired, y'all. I'm so tired. And these past 3 months have really showed me, like, I could be in the most luxurious, like, wonderful place to heal, but if I don't feel okay, I'm just suffering, you know? Like, and I'm just going in cycles and cycles and cycles again, and I just feel like I don't have any sort of normalcy. Like, God, I'm just so tired of TSW. Everything stinks, everything hurts, everything flakes, everything, I can't open my mouth without my chin splitting. I can't sleep without itching. And it's just a mental fuck. It's a mind fuck. Oh, I'm just so angry. I'm just so angry. I can't regulate the fuck out of anything. My emotions, my body. I can't regulate. It feels like I have no control. And there's no amount of woosah that I can do in order to get me there. I know it gets better over time, but right now it's not good, and it's been 2 years, and I just need help. Like, I need help.
Now, in the place that I'm at right now, I think I would say that I'm glad that I didn't choose the medication route. I'm glad that I continued to tough it out, but I do think that Jada back in Mexico should have totally gotten medical help. It gets to a point where you do need medical help, and I just wish that we had more resources to be able to feel safe to go to our medical professionals that won't gaslight us and won't make us feel like shit and won't prescribe us more steroids after saying no. This was one of the worst periods of TSW. It was similar to how I looked towards the beginning of my journey, and this was a time where I didn't really record my worst of what I looked like, but from what Chris tells me, I looked pretty similar to how I did at this period in Mexico. Something in me was just like, this is the time to talk about it. You look your worst, you feel your worst, you need people to hear your pain, and you need people to hear how serious this condition is. And now, as I'm sitting here in this point in my life, way more healed than I was, I'm starting to see more people talk about their own journeys on TikTok and just on the internet. And I'm really glad that I shared at the point that I did, so that people could feel valid and justified, and knowing that what they're going through is not crazy. It took a lot of courage to be able to share in those moments, because the last thing that I wanted to go viral for was for my suffering. As a girl who was always so focused on the aesthetics and how things presented online, especially because I was in the industry of entertainment where everything is pretty aesthetic and everything looks a certain way, it took a lot to be able to share in those vulnerable moments, but I just knew that that was what needed to be done. And for that, my platform ended up blowing up way beyond measures that I could have ever imagined. After my whole Mexico series kind of blew up on TikTok, about 2 months later after I had left Mexico, I was like, oh, I haven't told YouTube literally anything. That was when I started just kind of reposting my Mexico healing journey on YouTube, and it confused so many people, because people were like, oh, I saw this on TikTok, or oh my god, Jada, where have you been? It's been a year. And these are some people who don't have TikTok, so all my people and YouTube subscribers that have been here for this long and were so confused, this is for you. This update is coming way too late, but I'm hoping that it really just catches you up on everything. So as I started posting that journey on shorts, my YouTube channel also started to kind of blow up, and people started hearing about my Mexico healing journey on here. The support that was poured on YouTube was also just so crazy, and it's the reason why this platform is at 40K today, so thank you. That also, I feel like, happened sort of overnight. I ended up spending a total of about 4.5 months in Mexico to heal. heal. I think I explained this in a previous video, but I came to Tulum, Mexico because I had a friend, shout out to you, Mia. I miss you so much and love you so much. We got on a spontaneous call in December and it was my first time meeting her on FaceTime, but she was telling me how her skin had healed miraculously, just going into the salt water and healing the skin and letting the salt water really soak into the wounds and close everything up and just get rid of the infections that were in the skin. And sometimes oceans can also cause infections. So again, all of this is not medical advice. This was just what I did and what I chose to do. I just have heard so many magical, wonderful things about the Caribbean Ocean and what it can do for skin healing, and I decided that taking a chance on that was so much better than going on meds that I just didn't trust. So yes, I started going into the ocean, and this is some of the most intense pain that I've experienced in my entire life. If I describe it, it might be like demonetized on YouTube because of how just graphic it feels like acid on your skin. Think of a paper cut and how bad that feels under normal water, right? Like, and then think about how open my skin was at that point and me just like full sending it into salty ocean water. Yeah, it was painful, and I always laughed at the comments that would comment on TikTok like, is this painful? Does this hurt? It was extremely painful. I genuinely don't know how Jada back then did it. During that really bad infection, I remember something telling me inside like, go to the ocean, just go to the ocean and see what it does. Chris was saying, okay, well, before we give up on Mexico, why don't we try going to the ocean a few more times just to see? And I was really scared of doing it because my skin was in such a bad state. But I knew deep down that if I didn't try the ocean, it's like, what did I come to Mexico for? I remember getting on the moped that day and my skin was just so sweaty and sticky and disgusting and gross, and I smelled it, and it smells like rotten freaking skin, and it was just the most traumatizing thing ever. And even just like walking past people, like I remember just being like, just get in. Nature doesn't judge, the ocean doesn't judge, it's just go. Salt water just brought me back to everything. It brought me back to my body, it brought me back to how big this world is. Salt water healed way more than just my physical wounds. It healed so many inner wounds inside. Just knowing that I was protected and safe no matter what happened to me, no matter what happens in this world, was just a really necessary reminder for me. And after so long, when you've been through so much suffering and you see so much suffering, you believe that suffering is the way through life, and that's just not the case. I can't believe that I was tricked to believe that that was supposed to be my normal, but chronic conditions will do that to you. The one thing that healed me besides the salt water was community. Community hands down healed so many wounds in me. Having millions of people be able to listen to my story as I just openly told it was just the most healing part of this entire experience. If you guys want to just start sharing about your journey on social media, it does not need to look a certain way. It just needs to be said. Just say it into the void, and just, I promise you, your community will be there to back you up. If it wasn't for my friend Mia that inspired me to go to Mexico, I wouldn't have done that. If it wasn't for my community, I wouldn't have been able to have the funds to continue staying in Mexico. I wouldn't have had the funds to be able to get treatment here in Bangkok. It changed my life. It literally changed my life. This condition, as horrible as it was, ended up bringing us together. It ended up allowing me to build the community that I currently have online, and in some weird twisted way, if that was what came out from this, I would have totally gone through TSW again in a heartbeat if I knew what was on the other side, if I knew healing and just light was on the other side. And that is why I continue to share, and that is why I hopped on the freaking camera today finally after so long. I just feel like people really need hope in these dark times. There is so much going on in the world right now, and the amount of consumption that we're doing from social media and just seeing everyone suffering again can make it so hard to be able to focus on your own solo journey, whatever that looks like. But just know that once you start pouring into your own healing journey and you start pouring into self, that is when you are able to start pouring into others. Like, I could not do this right now, be here saying my entire testimony, if I didn't go through all of that, and if I didn't have time for myself and took the time away from social media that I needed to take to be able to be here today. I also ended up turning 22 while I was in Tulum, and that was something that was so sentimental to me because honestly, it didn't feel like I was gonna make it to 22. Like, it really didn't feel like I was going to make it there. I remember going out to a nice dinner with Chris. Although it looked scary still, and it was still super red and super just like raw looking, I could tell that my skin was getting better and that it was trying to get rid of that infection. There's just still so much to celebrate in the little mini moments in between. No matter how bad life was or how bad my body felt and how weak my body felt, just being able to sit in that gratitude of being able to turn 22 in Mexico, like, hello, like, I was so beyond grateful. There was nothing that I could have asked for in that moment. And I remember getting like ice cream that night too after and being like, I don't even care. I'm just going to eat it because it's my freaking birthday and I should be able to celebrate it. And I just want this to be a reminder that it doesn't matter what you're going through right now, like celebrate your small wins, celebrate the things that really do bring you joy. I think we've been tricked as a society to believe that like suffering and just like going through it hard, life does freaking suck in so many aspects, but life can also be so good. And okay, I need to find this, but I was reading this book when we were in Japan recently. It was basically talking about how we as people, obviously we're clearly trying to make steps forward and advancements forward in our society in lots of positive ways. And when we're doing that, we're actively highlighting the negative things that are clearly wrong. But because of that, we have this sort of negativity bias, this negativity instinct that comes when we're always trying to look for the thing that is kind of not going right, you know? It's a negativity bias or progressophobia. It is a complex. People fail to remember the unpleasant aspects of earlier periods and therefore fail to appreciate how much progress has been made. It may be partly because assuring everyone that the world is in general getting better when there are obvious specific examples of where it is not seems heartless. And I just thought that that was so powerful because it's so true. Like, I'm so for change and for things getting better and for things just, you know, being better than they are today. And clearly with social media and everything, just it's so amplified, right? Like we're seeing so much negativity that's amplified, and that's why I wanted to go about sharing my story in a way that feels empowering, even though I went viral at my most like suffering point, which is what ended up resonating with everyone, because I truly think deep down that like, because we are all suffering so much in this day and age, like all we see is the suffering, you know? But I think if we really do shift our perspective into being more positive and being more optimistic, like that is what got me to this point. Like, let's not fail to realize that a big point of why I'm here right now is because I was able to view things from a positive lens. Now positive people are seen as like, okay, you're just kind of like, yeah, like heartless, like you don't really understand what suffering and struggle feels like. I remember just being in such like my most struggle, like terrible days of TSW, but for some reason, like in the very back of my head, even if it was like all the way in the back, I just felt this light of like, you're going to heal. Your body was built to heal. You are literally built to heal. Your vessel was built to heal. Just go along for the ride. This shit sucks, but like, let's focus on something good, you know? And I remember just all the moments where Chris would pull me out of these really dark moments and we just go do something, like just go to a movie. Like my skin is like half falling off of my body and I'm just like, let's just go to a movie. And it's not like you not focusing on the bad stuff, it's you enjoying the other side of things that clearly still exist, which is joy, which is goodness, which is community. That's why I got so passionate into life coaching during this period, because I just felt like now I had a different lens on it. Because prior, I'm not going to say that my life wasn't hard, I had my own struggles, but because they weren't as intense at that time as they were as I was going through TSW and so many other things that happened during TSW, because they weren't as bad, I felt like it was easier to push and be more resilient in those times. But this was a different kind of test, you know, like being able to surpass like struggle and being able to come out on the other side still optimistic. Again, let's not get it twisted. I'm still very much healing from TSW. This camera is going to make me look chic, but I'm still very much going through it, and it still burns in the shower, and it still sucks like to be going through this condition, and there's still piles of skin on the floor all the time. But the way that I'm showing up here right now is clearly I'm not speaking from a lens of struggle, and I don't want that to be my story. I don't want that to be how I'm viewed anymore. So I want to show the other parts of life that require everything that's joyful, traveling, exploring the world, connecting with people, like building community to be able to heal deeper wounds that medication just won't ever be able to fix. I strongly believe in that now. I still to this day have never taken a singular medication for my anxiety, for my depression. I think a big part of that is because I've been able to kind of hack the code on my own. And I think a huge part of that was just developing this mindset that I feel like I always knew that I had, but really using what I learned in those past moments and applying it even tenfold to this situation right now. And that's what really healed me. I mean, we can really go into the nitty-gritty of like the cat therapy machine and everything that I'm doing here in Thailand, but that really wasn't the thing that healed me. I was already starting to heal in Mexico without the cat therapy machine and just going into the salt water and affirming to myself that healing was possible. And even when I didn't feel like it, I had my partner to be able to rely on, or those 1 or 2 friends that I had to be able to call, and then my community online to be able to pour into me when I really needed it. I'm just surrounded by so much love and I'm so grateful, and there's really no other words to express just how grateful I feel to be able to be here in this very moment. So I hope that this update just kind of gave you guys just what you guys were looking for. So I guess this is kind of my official comeback to YouTube. I don't want to promise too much because again, still going on my own little healing journey here, but I think this was a really good place to start. And I just want you guys to know that you guys have again contributed so much to my healing journey, more than you guys could ever know. And I'm so looking forward to be able to give that back and pay that forward in ways that I can as I continue to move forward. All in all, saltwater freaking heals, community heals, people heal. Let's stop like acting like individualism and cutting people off all the time and consumerism is going to fix everything. Like, it doesn't. Like, community truly is the thing that heals. So tap into that, you know, like continue to tap into community in the ways that you can, and I promise that healing happens. But if you guys would like an actual comprehensive kind of laid out situation on how I've managed to heal TSW and kind of practices that I'm doing and instilling into my life to be able to continue my healing journey, I will totally be down to do an actual video on that. But for now, I think I just want to show you guys kind of where I came from, because let's not forget, like, this didn't happen overnight. This really took a really long time to get to the point that I'm at today. Just know that if you're watching this and you currently feel like you are in the worst of the worst part of your healing journey right now, if that's physical or mental, just know that it gets better. It really does get better. Just continue to push through, focus on the joy where you can, allow yourself to feel the negative emotions where you can too, because suppressed emotions really do get stuck up in there, and when you're not expressing that stuff, that can manifest in a whole ton of other complications and problems. Just know that the human experience is this combination of kind of all of those feelings, and what a beautiful thing to be able to experience such a myriad of emotions and feelings and life obstacles. Yeah, whew, I feel like I can breathe. I finally did this freaking video and it's taken so long, but yeah, I'm gonna go edit this video so that you guys can actually freaking see it. And I love you guys. Take care, and I will talk to you guys in a future video. Bye.